giving me this opportunity to come and talk and share something with you as he's going to introduce. I just say good evening to listeners and praise the Lord. Already has introduced to me, I'm Right Reverend Dr. Paul Naimanhye, Mukembo, the Bishop of Busoga Diocese. I just pray that listeners will be attentive, and I believe at the end of this program you will be inspired, and many things are going to change in your life, in your marriage, in your families, and that's the essence of this program tonight.
Absolutely. I must say this is the first of its kind for Bishop to have an exclusive interview on the radio. He has always been coming to NBS and Smart FM to preach, but this time round he has come to discuss a topic on social issues. And we are glad to have you, Bishop.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's pick it from there. Our topic this evening, we are going to be discussing more of family and marriage. And you've come at a time when many people still yearn to define marriage. Bishop, I want to get your definition of marriage.
Oh, thank you very much, Sir Morgan. The topic is very interesting. And when we talk about family and marriage, that's the essence of humanity. And we are here, we are human beings, we are born out of families and marriages. And the families and marriages, they work as they continue it of human society derives from families and marriages. And Sam Morgan, when you say, according to you, how do you define the marriage? I have so many definitions, of course. Okay. One, I'm a senior clergy, minister of the Lord, and this is not my first time to talk about marriages and families. In fact, my work is to wed couples, you know very well. So when you invite me to talk about marriage and family, I really feel happy. And these are the issues now, making people to think again and again. And when we don't define what is marriage and what is family, many people will not understand. But most are real to the definition of marriage, because from marriage you get a family. So marriage has different definitions, but I will begin with the secular one. There are so many, but secular. In the secular, it brings people being united and to a person or to a spouse in legal, consensual and contractual relationship, recognized and sanctioned by and dissolved by only the law. So in the secular world, marriage is based on law.
Okay.
If you don't follow the law, that's not marriage. Of course, also what we do when we are doing what we call marriage solemnization in the church, part of it is the law, but part of it is blessing people. But of course, you cannot survive without law. So the secular look at this, that it is consensual, contractual, it's like a contract. And you know very well the Western talk about contract.
Yes.
But for us, we like this. But that is secular. But for us who are Christians, we have so many different definitions that you are going to hear. First, God designed marriage for humanity. And as first described in Genesis and later affirmed by Jesus, marriage is a God ordained covenant relationship between a man and woman. When you read Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, the Bible talks, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and unite with his wife, with his spouse, and they will become one flesh. So that's one of the first definitions. The second definition is, we as Christians, we define marriage, and that is to say, God is God who created it. It's God who created marriage.
Okay.
No government, no subcommittee envisioned it, No social organization was conceived and born in the mind of God. It is God himself who constituted. It is an institution created by God. And when we talk about institution created by God, that of course we know that's between a man and woman. You see, these days they use the word spouse. I will not go into that. But you wonder why people don't want to talk about wife and husband. They prefer spouse. They dilute it. Even the educated one, they prefer spouse. But for us who are conservatives, we still recognize husband and wife. And when we talk about husband, that's a man. When we talk about wife, that is a woman. And so for us, I rather call it husband and wife. Of course, spouse, as modern world want it, but I'm emphasizing I'm a conservative person. I want to hear husband and wife. The third meaning of marriage, Sir Morgan, is marriage involves spiritual and emotional and physical closeness. You see, that's the meaning of marriage: physical, emotional. These are three. I'm talking about spiritual, talking about emotional, I'm talking about physical closeness. And as we advance, if you have time, I shall talk more. What do I mean when I say spiritual and emotional and physical? But of course, I'm talking about when you're husband and wife, you must be close to one another. Then you shall know the meaning of marriage. But we have some scholars who have gone ahead, giving other definitions of marriage. There's Y.N. Mark defines that marriage is a total commitment, a total sharing of a total person with another person until death. This one I think is a Christian.
He must be a Christian.
So when he says it's a total commitment and a total sharing and a total person with one another person until death, we are talking about death. And marriage is, if you saw Satan came in and people are no longer enjoying marriage, they talk about divorce as we shall see as we go on. But the initial and how God designed the marriage was that man and woman should live together till death. Another definition by the same man, Y.N. Mark, says, and he continues to say, and to define marriage, that according to the Bible, the marriage act is more than a physical. It is an act of sharing. It is an act of communion. It is an act of total self-giving, where the husband gives completely to the wife, and the wife gives herself to the husband in such a way that the two become one flesh. So you can see this man, it is a total commitment. It is an act. In fact, marriage is an act where all these ingredients I'm talking about are involved. Because you have no time, there's another definition of marriage. William Penny, this is how he defines marriage. He says marriage, he says in marriage, be wise, prefer a person before money, virtue before beauty, the mind before the body. Then thou hast a wife, a friend, a companion, and a second self. So when we talk about marriage definitions, there are so many. In fact, these are few, because many writers have come to define marriage. But of course, of time, we have to time ourselves. But let's talk about marriage. And for marriage, of course, when we talk about marriage, equals family.
Good. So interesting. And based on the many definitions that you've given us a picture of why people enter marriage and why people should be married. I've actually seen reasons for marriage. Now, Reverend Bishop, I want straight away to connect to the second question.
Yes, sir.
Are married people married? Literally, I'm asking, are those in the marriage institution happily married? Are they living a married life? Or they're just a man and a woman who presented themselves before the Lord Bishop in Christ Cathedral or St. James or St. Andrew, and they pronounced wedded people?
Yes, sir. You see, the question is good, but also we can go ahead perhaps reframing it, because is the definitions of marriage still standing?
Absolutely.
Because we normally see people, I tell you, some organ, you don't see what I see.
Sure.
When you find people going for marriages, the way they prepare themselves, of course we shall see it as we proceed, but the way they prepare, the way the younger man and the younger woman, by the way, marriage does not mean only younger men and younger people, younger girls. Also all the men have say, you know, they say, I have a guy. You know, they don't talk about I have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Say, I just have a guy. Now, but is there still meaning of that? I will begin with what we see today.
Yes.
Of course, people prepare marriage. The intention is that the marriage institution should continue. But today, there are so many things people do as they prepare. And I wonder, after preparing, I normally say, why do you invest in something and when you're not going to get the profit? You are an investor, and I hear this spokesperson on introductions. This is an investor. He's an investor. He has all the money and he has everything. If you need sodas, you just call. If you need get chicken, you just call. If you need the money, and they dash a lot of money. So you can see how people begin this institution by pre-vist. Let me tell you, my brother, sir. For me, during our days, we do not have these pre-vists as today. We do not have them. This is a new phenomenon. People are just doing it. It is a new development.
In fact, Bishop, I should report to you that these days we have what they have started doing, what we call casual visits.
True.
You go, you take things, you greet the family, then from there you go for a pre-visit.
A pre-visit.
You go for introduction.
Yes.
Then next wedding. 4 functions.
Now, pre-visit is like introduction to some other people.
Sure.
10 vehicles going, people carrying many things,
decoration,
buying so many garments for the lady, and there's also changing. Yeah, just the pre-vist changing and so on. Then when it comes to introduction, then the thing becomes even more bigger and very wide.
So expensive.
I wonder, like myself, we do not have meetings for introductions. Like today, and this listeners of Smart FM and younger men and younger women, those who go for these introductions, I wonder somebody putting in the budget buying a bra, others are not mentioned, of course. So how can somebody buy a bra for your woman? A bra? Do you understand the meaning? If I bought a bra for your wife, then when she's putting on, I know what she's putting inside her, knowing that the bra she's putting on, I'm the one who contributed. But that's mentioned for purposes of life. Even a knicker. They contribute money for knickers. It's terrible. It is terrible. And then you have to have so many things taken in the introduction ceremony. And what makes me laugh more today is that there is no introduction, but their spokesperson is there. They're the ones who talk. And you wonder what type of this introduction is. And we take hours. Of course, it is introduction we should celebrate it. Wonderful. I have no business with people talking. But the essence of introduction is dying, as we shall see ahead. And then you take many things. I remember we went for an introduction somewhere. And I was the leader of the dedication. By then I was a reverend, younger reverend, but I talked to somebody whom I will not mention. And I will not mention the village. But we went with a few things. But the children of the villagers will not go with the tents like today. They had put their dry brown leaves, a sanja. And the children were piercing us with the sticks. And we were uncomfortable. Look at these poor in-laws. Look at these poor in-laws. And all the time we spent there, we as if we are stepping on stones and thorns. Because these young children were continuously piercing
inconveniencing
us,
you.
piercing You poor people, let me tell you, as I will tell you later, when I went for my introduction, that business, I had I think my 5 bicycles and a few people. And to differentiate a bicycle which is taking the groom, they had to put a tablecloth, a cloth on the carrier, so that it is special from other bicycles. And I sat on it, and we rode our bicycles, and we reached very simply there. Anyway, you shall hear as we go. So now, after talking about this, when it comes to weddings, oh my God. I don't know if there are some you have wedded. You may even fear to wed because what you see, because you're a younger man.
Sure.
Wedding gowns, then the coats, then everything. Everything is very expensive. Now that's why we are saying, after all this, people are not maintaining their marriages.
We are investing a lot of time in preparing parties,
yes,
functions,
yes,
not preparing for an institution.
That's why we have a saying, there are so many weddings, but few marriages. And I wonder, it's as if today that if you don't wed, you'll never go to heaven. Every church, everybody. Of course, that's wonderful to get wedded, but we are saying, let us get the real meaning of a wedding. If you decide, you make a decision, and say, this is my wife, and the guy says, this is my husband. Let us go through all these rituals of pre-marriage, of what, of weddings, of everything, and meetings. Then when you get married, mean business.
Yes.
No joking. Like today, we shall see as we go. It's as if people joke with marriages.
Absolutely. People are joking.
Before I end this, Sam Morgan, I got wedded as early as 1982.
1982.
I don't know whether you were born.
Not yet. That was around 22 years of old of you. I want to guess.
Exactly. For me, I got wedded when I was a younger boy. Good guessing. So you can see, but at that time we were young. By the way, we are ignorant, we are still young, we don't know what we are doing, but we just knew I'm getting a wife, and also my girl knew he's getting a husband. But we have been in marriage seriously. And now we are getting old, and of course I'm an old man. I can't say I'm a younger man, but we understood why we went for marriage. Before we leave this point, Sam Morgan, let the people understand the decision of getting a husband, becoming a husband and wife, is not a simple decision. Let me say this, when you get married, then from the day you get married, whatever type of marriage, then always your marriage will determine your future. Your marriage will determine your future. So when you say, what is it true? People are still holding on the marriage we are talking about. Of course, some people, others are serious. Others are not